Right now, before you do anything else, I want you to notice something. That feeling at the back of your throat, that thick, sticky coating sensation that makes you want to clear it. Go ahead and notice the urge. But this time, don't clear it. Just hold it for a second. Because that urge you feel 100 times a day and the little sound you make to answer it is not fixing your throat. In most people over 60, it is the single biggest reason the mucus never goes away. I'm going to say that plainly because it is the whole video. The things you are doing to get rid of that mucus are the exact things keeping it there. The throat clearing, the sprays, the foods you gave up, the water you stopped drinking to avoid the bathroom. For most people, every one of those is feeding the problem instead of ending it. And by the end of these few minutes, you're going to understand your own throat better than any rushed appointment has ever explained it to you. And you're going to have a simple plan in order that lets it finally clear on its own. If you've been living with this for months or years, clearing your throat before every phone call, waking up with a glob of it every single morning, embarrassed at dinner, give me the next few minutes. This costs you nothing, and it changes almost everything. Before we go one step further, I have to draw a hard line, because a small number of you should not be watching a video right now. You should be calling a doctor. Stop and get seen soon, not eventually, if any of these describe you. Blood in the mucus, or you cough up anything streaked with blood. Trouble swallowing, or real pain when you swallow. A hoarse, rough voice that has lasted more than 2 or 3 weeks and isn't improving. A lump or swelling in your neck that doesn't go away. Symptoms clearly on one side only. One-sided sore throat, one-sided ear pain, one blocked nostril that stays blocked. Unexplained weight loss, or mucus with a fever that won't break. None of those mean the worst, but every one of them deserves a real exam because the only way to rule out the serious causes is to look, and no video can look for you. If that's you, pause here and make the call. For everyone else, the gradual, everyday, annoying throat gunk with none of those warning signs, stay with me because what I'm about to describe is almost certainly what's happening inside your throat. Let's start with the mistake nearly everyone makes, the one that surprises people the most. Mistake number one, the throat clear itself. You feel the mucus. You clear your throat to move it. And for half a second, it works. It feels better. So your brain quietly files that sound away as the solution. Here is the problem. It is not the solution. It is the engine. Watch what actually happens inside your throat when you force that hard clearing sound. You slam your vocal cords together at high speed and you drag a violent rush of air across the delicate lining of your throat. That lining is living tissue, thin and sensitive. Researchers who study chronic cough and throat clearing describe it in plain terms. Repeated throat clearing acts as a mechanical irritant on the airway. In everyday language, every hard clear is a tiny scrape against a surface that's already raw. An irritated tissue does exactly one thing to protect itself. It makes more mucus. So follow the loop with me. You clear to remove the mucus. The clearing scrapes and irritates the lining. The irritated lining makes more mucus. You feel that new mucus. So you clear again. You are not losing a fight against your throat. You are feeding it. Think of a patch of dry, itchy skin on the back of your hand. It itches, so you scratch it. For a moment, relief. Then the skin gets angrier and it itches more, so you scratch again. Scratching never solves an itch. It is the itch's best friend. Your throat clear is the same trap, just in a place you can't see and can't stop watching. Here is your first fix, and you can start it this very second. When you feel that urge to clear, don't. Instead, swallow, firmly and deliberately. If you have water, take a small sip and swallow that. If you don't, do a dry swallow, or hum a low, gentle note for 2 seconds and then swallow. That hum nudges your vocal cords softly apart, and the swallow carries the mucus down the natural way, with no scrape. Every single time you trade a clear for a swallow, you give the lining a chance to heal. You'll catch yourself constantly at first, reaching for the old habit. That's normal. Just keep swapping. This one change, done honestly for 2 weeks, turns more throats around than any product on the pharmacy shelf. Quick one. Type the word "me" in the comments if you clear your throat without even thinking about it, before you even notice you're doing it. I want to see how many of us this is. Mistake number 2, reaching for the decongestant nasal spray. This one feels so logical. Your throat's full of gunk, your nose is stuffy, so you grab one of those little spray bottles. The first time, it's almost magic. Within minutes, you can breathe and the back of your throat feels clearer. So you use it again the next night and the night after that. Here's the trap built right into the bottle. Common over-the-counter decongestant sprays work by squeezing the blood vessels in your nose, shrinking the swollen tissue. That's why you breathe so fast, so easily. But your nose does not like being squeezed for long. When the spray wears off, those vessels swell back open, and often they swell wider than they were before. Major medical centers describe this clearly. Use these sprays past about 3 days, and you can develop rebound congestion, a nose that's now stuffier because of the very spray meant to unstuff it. Picture a spring under your thumb. You press it down and it goes small and tidy. That's the relief. But the second you lift your thumb, it snaps back taller than it sat before. Each press buys a shorter window of calm and a bigger rebound. That's your nasal lining on repeat spray. And here's how it reaches your throat. A swollen, rebounding nose drips more mucus down the back of your throat all day and all night. The spray you bought to dry things up is, after a few days, making the drainage down your throat worse. The fix here needs care. If you've been using one of these sprays for weeks, do not just quit cold and panic when your nose blocks up. That temporary worsening is expected, and there's a calmer way down. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about tapering off slowly and about gentle swaps like a simple saline rinse, plain salt water that thins and flushes mucus without any rebound at all. Never stop or change a medication on your own because of a video, mine included. Mistake number 3. Cutting out dairy because you heard it makes mucus. This belief is everywhere. Anyone with a gunky throat is told the same thing. Stop the milk, drop the cheese, dairy makes phlegm. So people give up foods they love, sometimes for years, waiting for a throat that never clears, because they're fighting a ghost. Here's the reality, and it's well studied. In a controlled trial, researchers gave healthy adults a common cold virus, then carefully tracked both their milk intake and the actual measured amount of mucus their noses produced. The result? No real link. Milk drinkers did not make more mucus. A respiratory review reached the same conclusion and put it bluntly. The milk and mucus idea needs to be firmly retired. So why does milk feel like it coats your throat? Because for a moment, it does. Milk is creamy, and that creaminess leaves a thin film across your tongue and throat that you can feel for a few seconds after you swallow. Your brain reads that thick feeling as mucus. But here's the almost funny part. In these studies, the people who most believed milk caused mucus were the ones who reported the most symptoms, even though their bodies made no extra mucus at all. The belief created the feeling, the milk didn't. And here's why this mistake actually costs you. It's not just that giving up dairy is unnecessary, it's that it sends you chasing the wrong target for years. Every month you spend blaming the cheese is a month you're not touching what's really driving the mucus. The fix is the simplest of all 5. Stop avoiding dairy for this reason. Eat normally. If a specific food clearly upsets your stomach, skip it, of course. But you do not need to give up milk to clear your throat. Tell me in the comments, did anyone ever tell you to give up dairy for this? I genuinely want to see how common that advice is. Mistake number 4, not drinking nearly enough water. This sounds too simple to matter. It's quietly one of the biggest. As we get older, 2 things happen together. The sense of thirst gets fainter, so you just don't feel thirsty as often. And many people deliberately drink less to avoid extra trips to the bathroom, especially at night. So day after day, you run a little dry and your throat pays the bill. Here's the mechanism. Your nose and throat make mucus constantly. This is normal and healthy. Those glands produce somewhere between 1 and 2 quarts a day. You're meant to swallow it without ever noticing. It moistens the air you breathe and traps the dust and germs you inhale. When you're well hydrated, that mucus stays thin and slippery and it slides down quietly. You feel nothing. But when you're even mildly dry, that same mucus turns thick and tacky. Now it doesn't glide, it clings to the back of your throat. And what do you do when something clings there? You clear it, which, as you now know, scrapes the lining and triggers even more. Picture a river running low in late summer. It carries the same silt it always did, but with less water moving it along, that silt stops flowing and settles into thick sludge on the bottom. Your throat mucus is exactly the same. This was never about making less mucus. It's about keeping it thin enough to move on its own. So the fix, and it's nearly free. Sip water steadily through the day instead of gulping a lot at once. Keep a glass within reach so it's easy to remember. Warm drinks help many people because the warmth and gentle steam loosen things even more. And if you've been cutting fluids to avoid the nighttime bathroom, simply front load your water earlier in the day and ease off in the evening. Your throat stays thin, and your sleep stays yours. Mistake number 5. Eating late and lying down soon after. This is the big one, the one that ties everything together and the one almost nobody suspects because the symptom shows up in your throat while the problem sits in your stomach. Here's the everyday version. You have dinner a little late, maybe a snack on the couch after. Then, within an hour or two, you lie back in your chair or go to bed. And while you sleep, something rises that you cannot feel. The medical name is laryngopharyngeal reflux. Most people call it silent reflux, a small amount of stomach contents traveling up past the food pipe and reaching the throat. And the word that matters most is silent. Unlike classic heartburn, this usually causes no burning in your chest at all. Many people with it feel none of the usual reflux symptoms, so you'd never connect it to your stomach in 100 years. All you feel is the result, a raw, irritated throat that keeps making mucus to defend itself, worst first thing in the morning. Think of your stomach when you're upright as a cup standing on a table. The contents sit safely at the bottom, well below the rim. Now lie down flat. The cup is on its side, and anything near the top can spill toward the opening. That's your stomach when you eat late and lie down, and the opening points straight up toward your throat. Now connect the whole chain. The reflux irritates your throat overnight. The irritated throat makes more mucus. In the morning, you feel that thick mucus and clear your throat hard, scraping the already raw lining. You reach for a spray, which after a few days drips more down the back. You've cut out dairy, so you're hungry and chasing the wrong thing. And you never once looked one floor down at the real source. Let me put the right picture in your hands because once you see it, all 5 mistakes make sense at once. Your throat is not a passive tube. It has a thin, moving layer of mucus that works like a slow escalator. Tiny hairs, far too small to see, sweep a delicate film of cleaning gel steadily upward and out. The mucociliary escalator, your throat's built-in conveyor that carries trapped dust, germs, and old mucus quietly away all day long. When it's working, you feel nothing. It only causes trouble in 2 situations. 1, when something keeps dripping an irritant onto it, silent reflux rising from below, or a genuine postnasal drip from above. The escalator responds the only way it knows. It lays down more gel to protect the surface, more mucus. 2, when the gel itself dries out and turns to glue. That's dehydration. Now the escalator is trying to move sludge instead of a thin film, and it stalls and the mucus pools right where you can feel it. So look at what every real fix has in common. You either turn off the thing dripping onto the escalator, or you thin the gel so it moves on its own. That's the entire game. And notice what's not on the list: clearing harder, spraying more, or giving up milk. Those were never aimed at the escalator at all. Comment escalator if that picture finally made this click. That little image is the whole key. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Margaret. 66, retired, sharp, and by the time she came in, she was exhausted by this. 2 years of a morning throat so thick she couldn't talk on the phone until she'd cleared it a dozen times. She'd given up milk. She'd bought 3 different sprays. She was drinking less water on purpose because she hated getting up at night. And nobody had ever asked her the one question that unlocked it. When do you eat dinner? Late, she said. 7:30, 8. Then she'd fall asleep in the recliner by 9. There it was. She wasn't making too much mucus. She was dripping on her escalator all night and scraping it raw all morning. She moved dinner to 3 hours before bed, raised the head of her bed a few inches, swapped every clear for a swallow, and started sipping water through the day. Week 1, the rawness eased. By week 2, the mornings were quieter. By week 4, the throat she'd fought for 2 years had faded into the background of her day. Nothing she added cost more than a couple of bricks under the bed frame. So here is your plan, in order, because the order matters. Step 1, retire the hard throat clear. Swallow, sip, or hum and swallow instead, every single time. This is the most important change and the hardest, because it's a reflex. Step 2, thin the mucus with water, sipped steadily through the day, front-loaded earlier if nights are your worry. Step 3, the silent driver. Finish eating at least 3 hours before you lie down. Not 3 minutes, 3 hours. Keep that last meal smaller, And raise the head of your bed a few inches so gravity keeps things pointed down and away all night. Step 4. If you've leaned on a decongestant spray, plan your exit with a pharmacist and switch to a saline rinse, one of the few things you can safely add freely. Step 5. Stop fighting the dairy ghost and put that energy into the timing and the water. If you want to start tonight, before you even finish scrolling, do just 4 things. Finish eating at least 3 hours before bed. Sip a glass of warm water this evening. Raise the head of your bed if you can. And the very next time you feel that urge to clear your throat, swallow instead. 4 things, not one of them costs $1. And here's what to expect, because this is where people quit too soon. Week 1 is mostly about the throat clear. As you swap clearing for swallowing, the constant low-grade irritation starts to calm. You may not notice less mucus yet. You'll notice less rawness, less of that scratchy, tickly urge. That's the lining recovering. By week 2, if you've moved dinner earlier and raised the bed, the morning gunk is usually the next thing to ease. And a quieter morning throat is a strong sign you found your real driver. By around week 4, for many people, the whole pattern settles into something far milder and far less constant. Not always gone completely. Some throat mucus is normal and healthy, remember, but no longer running your day. And if you do all of this carefully for a month and it's no better or getting worse, that itself is useful. It means it's time to be properly checked, not to push harder on home steps. Go back to those warning signs I gave you early on and get seen. One last thing before you go. Tell me your decade in the comments. Are you in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond? Drop it below, because after a certain age, the silent reflux piece becomes far more common, and I genuinely want to know how many of you it applies to. So let's bring it home. The mucus in your throat is rarely a mucus problem. It's a signal, your throat's escalator either being dripped on from above or below, or running too dry to move. The 5 habits, the hard clearing, the rebound spray, the dairy ghost, the missing water, and the late dinner, don't fix that signal. They feed it. So do the opposite. Move your dinner earlier. Sip your water. Swallow instead of clearing. Step off the spray with help, and stop blaming the milk. Give it a month. Watch for the warning signs, and let your throat finally do what it was always built to do, clear itself, quietly, on its own.